everyone, how's it going, and welcome back to another video. Now today, as you can see by the title of the video, we're going to be sticking with the F1 theme, and today we are doing my top 10 F1 tracks, basically based on tracks that are on the calendar at the moment, and also tracks that aren't on the calendar, which I think should be back on the calendar because I think they're great. So we're going to go through the top 10 now. These are in no sort of order either. These are just top 10 tracks. I haven't got like 10 being the worst and 1 being the best. These are all just tracks I love. So let's get into it. Let me know what you think of this as well. Let me know your track list in the comment section as well, and let's get into the video. So kicking off at number 10, we are going to go for the Monaco Grand Prix. You can't have a top 10 F1 track list without the Monaco Grand Prix. Obviously it's one of the most well-known F1 circuits ever, and just so much iconic history, uniqueness, everything about it, and the track hasn't awfully changed that much when it started like way back in like the 1950s, but it's just absolutely fantastic to see those cars, especially how wide and how fast these cars are nowadays. It's just incredible to watch them go through. Obviously in the race they're not that great, it's not that great to watch, but in qualifying it's such a special place, and I think most people still love it even with the not great racing there. But yeah, Monaco is definitely got to be on this top 10 tier list because it's just fantastic. So next up for number 9, we are going to go for the Malaysian Grand Prix. Now this is a circuit that when I was about sort of 11 or 12, sort of growing up with the F1 games, I didn't really like this track very much at all. But it wasn't until like 2015, 2016 I started really understanding that this track is actually a really underrated circuit. It's so wide as well, and that's what I love about these F1 tracks that are really wide. You can take lots of different lines in. We've seen some really good battling over there in the past as well, and you see all these drivers taking different lines when they're going side by side and things like that, especially with Vettel and Webber in 2013. That was absolutely brilliant to see. And it was really good to see just the different lines people take and stuff, and it is honestly a really underrated circuit, and I do hope it makes a return very soon. Obviously we've got all the COVID going on at the moment still in the world, so hopefully we will return there at some point if maybe a track needs to step in. But obviously, you know, it is in the part of the world where it is a little bit bad, so maybe we won't, but hopefully it will come back in the not too distant future. So coming in at number 8, we are going for the Bahrain Grand Prix. Now I think this is probably one that's a little bit underrated as well. I feel like the Bahrain Grand Prix, ever since it turned into a night race especially as well, it's turned into a fantastic Grand Prix to watch. To race on the F1 game as well, it is also a really good track. I feel like it's got some nice flow to it. You can do lots of overtaking, especially through up to like turn 1 and turn 4 like we see in real racing as well. It's just a really cool circuit as well, and like I said, ever since it turned into a night race, I think it's just brilliant. I think the sort of desert look of the place is awesome, and I also love the outer circuit as well that we did last year as well. Obviously they did 2 back-to-back races at Bahrain, but I also love the main layout and also the outer layout as well. I think it's absolutely brilliant. Obviously we saw some amazing battles over the years as well. Obviously with Nico Rosberg and Lewis Hamilton in 2014, that was the one that popped into my head straight away. That went on for about 15 or so laps, I swear, all the way to the end of the Grand Prix. So yeah, Bahrain is definitely in my top 10. Now number 7 on my list is going to Austria, also known as the Red Bull Ring, and I really do love this circuit. Well, I think this track is simple, but it's not simple. It is very unique, and it is, I can imagine, if you're actually in an F1 car, obviously I've never driven an F1 car, but on the game and stuff, I can imagine in real life it is really the undulation and all that sort of stuff. It's just incredible, and there's so many blind corners and so many tricky sort of breaking points on the circuit. But I do love the circuit, especially on the F1 game. I can really get into a nice flow with it and pull off some really good moves and stuff. And I think, again, we've seen some really good races over the years as well. I think the last 4 or 5 years in real F1, it's been a really good circuit to race at. Really been entertaining. So it's a fantastic circuit, and I really hope it doesn't leave the calendar for a very long time. So coming in at number 6 is going to be the Italian Grand Prix in Monza. Obviously this was going to be on here. I mean, Monza is probably one of my favourite circuits ever. I absolutely love, again, the sort of simplicity of it, because obviously, like I said, it's one of the fastest tracks on the calendar, and ever since it sort of became those 3 chicanes on the circuit, it used to literally be straight. Then you had I think it's Curva Grande, and then you just go straight again, then the two Lesmos. But yeah, even now it still produces some really good overtaking. Obviously, I'm kind of glad those chains are there because it produces some really good racing. Obviously, like I said, the Italian Grand Prix that we had a few weeks ago, that was absolutely fantastic. And yeah, it's just an iconic place. And obviously the Tifosi as well. I'm not a Ferrari fan, but obviously the Italian Grand Prix is one of the tracks I want to go to. So I think the atmosphere and everything is just so amazing there. It really is one of my favourite circuits. Now, coming in at number 5, I'm going for the American Grand Prix, or the Circuit of Americas, the track that got introduced to us in 2012. I think this is probably one of the best circuits that we've had come in that has been new and not some crappy desert with some cones out. So honestly, I feel like this track is so unique, even just to look at. To drive around as well, it is very, very awesome. There's lots of tricky corners and a lot of twists and turns and stuff. But what I like about this track the most, and my dad agrees as well. Ever since it joined the calendar, we've always spoken about how this is such an iconic track for corners, and obviously how the track has sort of taken inspiration from other circuits, sort of like Maggots and Beckett's and Turkey, sort of turn 8 as well. Just a fantastic circuit, and obviously Lewis has done pretty well over there over the years as well. So obviously, you know, big Lewis fan, so that's why I kind of like the track even more. But yeah, no, don't get me wrong, it is a fantastic Grand Prix, and that's another one that I would actually love to go to one day. Now, coming in at number 4, now I don't know why I haven't put this at number 1, but nevertheless, this is probably my favourite circuit ever to exist on the F1 calendar, and that is the Canadian Grand Prix in Montreal. This track is, I don't know what it is about it, I just absolutely love the place, especially when I'm playing on the F1 game. I can just really get into a good flow. In real life as well, we've seen some fantastic races over the years. My favourite race of all time there, well, my favourite F1 race ever in real life is Canada 2011. I will not be able to forget that day when I was like, oh my god, Jenson Button has just won that Grand Prix. But yeah, don't get me wrong, we've seen some other great races there as well. I feel like nowadays with the hybrid era and stuff, how wide and how fast the cars are, I don't feel like this track is very good for modern day Formula 1. The last few races we've had there haven't really exactly been that interesting. Obviously, I think the most recent one is probably 2019 at the end, where Vettel sort of cut the chicane and got the penalty and gave Lewis the win. But yeah, no, apart from that, we haven't really seen many great races over the years. But don't get me wrong, I absolutely love this circuit, and like I said, probably my favourite circuit ever. So coming in at number 3 then is the Brazilian Grand Prix at Interlagos. I absolutely adore this circuit. It is so old school. It's so simple. There's lots of undulation through the sort of middle sector and stuff, and then you can get a really nice run all the way down to turn 1 and stuff, and it's just, I don't know what it is about this track, it's just fantastic. You see some really good overtaking there as well. Again, it's sort of one of those tracks where one battle starts at like turn 1 and then goes all the way down to turn 4 and stuff, so it's really interesting, and it's really good. It's one of those tracks as well when it rains, it's just even more intense. Like we saw that in 2016 when we had that absolutely banger of a race where Verstappen nearly crashed out, flicked his car out the barrier, and then went on to get the podium and stuff like that. It's just an incredible place, and a very special place obviously for Ayrton Senna as well. Obviously him being Brazilian, the first 3 corners are named the Senna S's. So yeah, just what a fantastic track, and I will be sad one day when it goes off the calendar. So next up on the list for number 2 is going to be the Turkish Grand Prix in Istanbul. As I am recording this actually this weekend, I'm recording this on the Thursday. We are actually going to the Turkish Grand Prix again this season, but yeah, I really hope they make this track permanent again on the calendar, because it is such an iconic track. I don't know why they got rid of it in the first place. I'm not really sure if it was down to like money or whatever, or they just couldn't race there for safety issues or whatever it was. But yeah, no, I really hope they make this track permanent back on the calendar. There's just something about it that I absolutely love. Once again, a bit like all the other circuits, that it's just a really nice track to sort of get into the flow into. And then obviously you got the iconic turn 8 as well, with like the 4 apex corner that's all flat out, especially in nowadays cars. It's just incredible to see. And obviously we didn't get a real chance to see how much they could actually push, because obviously the track was very wet last year when we went there again for COVID reasons and again for this season. But yeah, I'm just so glad we're going back there because I absolutely love this circuit. And finally, at number 1, we are going for the British Grand Prix at Silverstone. Of course, it was going to be number 1, not only because I'm British, but I just absolutely love the Silverstone circuit. It's a proper driver's circuit with lots of intense corners, so much danger involved when you race around this circuit. But yeah, it's obviously, like I said, my hometown. I literally live about half an hour away, sorry, from the circuit, and I've been many times as well, about 4 times I think. But yeah, no, I just absolutely love this place. The amount of races that we've had that have been just iconic, the amount of things that have happened there, and obviously Lewis, the most successful sort of driver there as well. So very happy about that. But like I said, Silverstone probably not my number 1 on this list. So there we go, guys. That is my top 10 tracks in Formula 1. Some that are on the calendar and some they need to bring back to the calendar, I feel. Let me know what you guys thought of my top 10. Is there some that you would take out, some that you put on? Let me know your list in the comment section as well. And that is it for today's video, guys. So if you have enjoyed it, please do give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you are new as well. And I will see you all again in the next one, guys. Take care.